GOAT. You hear it so much you forget what it means. Greatest of all time. Is it measured in titles?
Champion!
Records?
History has been made.
Or calibrated in time?
What's your name, kid? John Cena.
Games and matches morph into seasons. Seasons into years. Years into decades. But the GOAT perseveres in a style all his own.
You can't see.
Every damn night.
Oh, yes, sir!
Until he's an era unto himself.
I've been face to face with the baddest human beings on the planet.
John Cena made his WWE debut June 27, 2002.
What is the one quality that you possess?
Ruthless aggression.
But what marks the intervening quarter century, and that which made Cena the GOAT, is nothing less than the sacred currency of professional wrestling. That connection. That communion with the crowd. Oh, he sees you. He hears you. Feels you. Loves you. Every last one.
John Cena is the GOAT.
We have arrived. It is John Cena's final match tonight, and I'm here to preview Saturday night's main event, which will be headlined by Gunther versus John Cena. There was speculation that this was going to be the opening match, or it was going to be somewhere in the middle, like a traditional old school Saturday night's main event, but that is not the case. And it was speculated because it was considered. It genuinely was. There was an idea that they would go with Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes in the main event spot as sort of a out with the old, in with the new, the wheel keeps spinning kind of bullshit thing. But John Cena is back in the main event. When I knew about it and I knew that it was 100% going to be the main event, I reported it over on the Dirty Sheets behind the paywall on the Wrestling Informer. So you can get all the latest news over at thedirtysheets.com. We've had a phenomenal year reporting the news, have barely put a foot wrong, and still the number one source for all of your wrestling news. And when I knew it was 100% the main event, because a lot of people had contrasting reports, I confirmed it 48 hours ago. So that is the case. It is the main event. And I still believe that this show will end with Gunther making John Cena give up. He came on to Raw this week and he said that I'm going to be the first person to do it. You've done everything that you said you were going to do in your career, but you've never given up, and I'm going to make you do the one thing you said you're never going to do, which is give up. So that could be seen as two ways. That could be seen as a spoiler and Gunther coming through with doing what he said he was going to do, which is obviously a big boost for Gunther and his career. Not that he needs anything more, because we've tried pretty much everything to get this guy over, from the longest intercontinental run of all time, ruining my childhood by taking over the Honky Tonk Man. We then made him the world champion. We then had him retire Bill Goldberg. And now we're going to have him retire John Cena. And we're going to make him get the win by John Cena giving up. John Cena going against his never give up mantra, and he gives up to Gunther. Now, that would suck, but it is the only way that Gunther will win. He's not going to go onto TV and say, John Cena, I'm going to win this particular way, and then he settles for a pinfall or anything like that. That's not going to happen. We also know Gunther, unlike other heels, doesn't cheat. He's like this super heel who's only really a heel because he dresses well and talks in an accent. But actually in the ring, there is very few instances of Gunther not winning clean in the middle of the ring. So we know he's going over, if he's going over. We know it's clean, and we now know it's going to be via tap out or John Cena just saying, I quit. If Gunther isn't winning by John Cena giving up, then John Cena is going to win this match. And there has been huge support for John Cena to win this match. That huge support, has led to huge betting support as well, because betting lines don't move because of social media whining. Betting lines move because real bets have been placed on an outcome. So I saw this movement starting to happen throughout the week, where Gunther was a 1-4 favourite when the line opened, with Cena at 5-2 plus 250. And as we're discussing things today, and we're talking about it right now, it's 4-7 on Gunther and 11-8 on Cena. It was 8-15 on Gunther an hour ago. And John Cena was around about 6-4. Gunther's been about 1-2 minus 200 through most of the day. But the line continues to move. There is a possibility that this could genuinely be seen as a 50-50 coin flip, because opinions are very different as to who will and who should is an entirely different thing. Who will, with people flat out predicting John Cena, those people do exist. And then they've gone and put their money where their mouth is, because there has been genuine action on John Cena. Now, maybe that's a case of people wanting John Cena to win in the way they vote for the teams that they want to win, because every year real NFL fans will bet on their team regardless of how bad they are. They will take a chance, whether it be as short as 5-1 or whether it be as big as 100-1. People like to bet on their team. So maybe it's that situation. Maybe it's just a case of blindly betting the underdog because there really wasn't any value in the favourite. And if you did want to make money from the favourite, you would have to put a significant amount of money down. So that's really been quite a majorly interesting development when it comes to that. I don't want to use this show to really recap and assess the run. I want to do that on YouTube because I'm putting out content every week, but I haven't done my video this week because I am saving it to kind of recap this John Cena final run, including the heel turn and everything else. But obviously the heel turn is very weird to kind of grade as to how you feel about it, because it was an unbelievable actual heel turn. But then the execution of everything that happened after a perfectly executed heel turn was all poor. And The Rock obviously walking away from it made it very difficult to salvage. But I just feel that you do something different. You bring someone else in. You still just name drop The Rock and say, hey, The Rock sent down Travis Scott and this other person. Or Randy Orton has now turned heel, just like John Cena, for example. You send Randy Orton down to the ring at WrestleMania. He pretends he's going to help Cody Rhodes get rid of Travis Scott. And Randy Orton then turns as well. So The Rock has managed to take the souls of Randy Orton and John Cena. And then you don't need to have The Rock on TV, because you can then go with Randy Orton, John Cena and Travis Scott if you want to. You can replace Travis Scott with Logan Paul. You can have a A-list kind of faction, and then you could have them winning more belts. You could have had Randy go on to the other show and take the other belt, the one that Seth Rollins went on to go and win when he cashed in the Money in the Bank on CM Punk. At the time, this championship was on Jey Uso. So you could have had Randy Orton end the Jey Uso run instead of Gunther. So you'd have Orton and Cena. That's the audible I would have called in that desperate situation. As an even bigger reach, maybe you could have come up with some sort of agreement to have Stone Cold Steve Austin interfere in the match and John Cena interfered on Cody Rhodes' behalf, because he too was bought out by the final boss. But it's very difficult, I think, to it would have been very difficult to get Steve Austin to agree to being a sellout if there wasn't any way for Steve Austin to then rebound and finish the story as a babyface. Like, we knew Cena was going to finish up as a babyface by the time he retired. So I'm just spitballing ideas in terms of how that could have been better executed after what was a phenomenal heel turn that we'll all remember forever. We'll all remember where we were, and we'll all remember how we felt about John Cena turning heel. But also what we'll feel and what we'll remember is what expectations that we had for it, how we went to bed that night and fantasy booked the next part of it. And nobody, even the worst imagination of the world, could not have foreseen something as shit and muddied and as confusing and as anticlimactic as what we actually went on to see. So that will always be tied to it as well. So unbelievable heel turn. I actually even think some of the promos Cena cut afterwards, they weren't bad. If you remove The Rock from it, if you remove the fact that all we were thinking during that time is, where's The Rock? Where's The Rock? Where's The Rock? Where's The Rock? When's he going to turn up for this build? When's The Rock going to be involved in this build? And that kind of poured water on the actual work that Cena was doing. Cena was working his balls off to get booed and saying whatever he needed to say. And obviously John Cena's delivery is always good. He makes everything work. But yeah, I mean, if we look back on it, we know that we were always wondering where The Rock was, obviously, as people who listen to wrestling podcasts and may watch wrestling content on YouTube or whatever and may follow the dirt sheets. But either way, like, we're more hardcore than the normal casual fan who dips in and out. Of course we are, because you listen to this podcast. So yeah, we were always wondering, where's Rock? Where's Rock? Where's Rock? When's he going to get involved in this story again? When's the follow-up from the Elimination Chamber? And it never happened. So watching back now, if now that you know what's happened, if you were able to grade the promos individually, it's just your usual good, solid work from John Cena. John Cena did everything he could to make this heel turn work. He worked his balls off. He even worked his balls off in the ring. This may be the best in-ring year that Cena's had. I think maybe, you could point to 2006, 2007, those types of years where Cena was younger, obviously a lot more mobile. Maybe some people aren't really fans of where we went with this heel turn, with this run, in terms of when he turned babyface and doing the finishing move tributes and a lot of the 1-2 no's that were commonplace in his matches at the end. But it's all down to taste. It's all down to discretion. But moving back to tonight, because I said I don't want it to be a full Cena recap. I want to do that over on YouTube. Moving back to tonight, I think Gunther is Triple H's boy. And I think he does get that win. And I think Cena gives up. But unlike the Goldberg show on Saturday night's main event, I think they leave more than enough time for Cena to speak. I think they leave more than enough time for members of the roster to go out there and initiate a thank you Cena and kind of pour water and make you kind of forget Men in Black taser you into forgetting maybe that you saw Gunther win via submission, via tap out. And then obviously the cycle starts again. You're back on Monday night. It's a reset. You want to get as much out of this John Cena retirement as you can, and what you want to get out of it is really to establish Gunther as a mega heel. And then you start talking about the tap out again. Gunther comes out and cuts a promo about it, and then maybe moves on to Brock Lesnar, and then maybe gets the win over Brock Lesnar as well, which is absolutely ridiculous. Longest reigning Intercontinental Champion ever, world champion, two-time world champion, ended Jey Uso's reign. Lost to CM Punk, but then he takes a break, comes back, retires John Cena via submission, goes on to WrestleMania to work with Brock Lesnar and gets to beat Brock Lesnar. I just don't fucking get it with this guy at all. Don't understand it. Don't understand the appeal. Yes, he's lost a ton of weight, but still I see a guy with a very average body with matches that maybe I don't get. I don't get why they're good. I don't get why all the chopping's good. I'm not someone who's superly into these near falls and finishes and whatnot. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of Gunther and Gunther matches, and I don't know why this guy needs to get all of this. I think you'd get a lot more out of it if Bron Breakker had retired John Cena and used it as a stepping stone to go on and win the world title that he's inevitably going to be. Surely Gunther isn't next in line for the championship. Surely it's Bron Breakker, whether that be on January the 5th, or maybe that's a show that you use to do another Roman Reigns return, and Roman Reigns comes back and ends up costing Bron Breakker his title match, and then we're back into Roman going up against the Vision, who, by the way, at this point, Seth Rollins is not there. Just make them the Dangerous Alliance. Just bring back the Dangerous Alliance. Like, give us a little bit of nostalgia. Give us something cool on TV, because you are seriously lacking. Make Paul Heyman's group the Dangerous Alliance. Cut a promo as to why it's not the Vision anymore. Say the dangerous part of the Dangerous Alliance is the fact that you are aligning with Brock Lesnar. Say that is what makes it a Dangerous Alliance and not a Vision. Something. Say something. Do something.
They look at me, they say, Paulie dangerously! You psycho yuppie, you!
It's so weird watching that back, because Paul Heyman, Paulie Dangerously, used to look so much like Michael Keaton, who was the first Batman from the Batman movies, but obviously with a mullet. It looks like Michael Keaton with a mullet. But yeah, elsewhere on this show tonight, we are going to see NXT talent going up against main roster talent. The biggest match out of those, I'm not going to talk about the other matches, because it's just going to be your standard great wrestling matches. The NXT stars are going to push the WWE stars all the way, and I don't think any of them are going to win except Sol Ruka. I think Sol Ruka will be able to beat Bayley to give NXT one win. I don't think we're going to see a tag title change, and I don't think we're going to see Obafemi beating Cody Rhodes, even though the betting lines for this are very, very tight. Cody Rhodes is only a 4-6 favourite, and Obafemi is at even money plus 100. What that means is even money plus 100 is if you bet 100 on Obafemi, you win 100. So it's kind of like being in a bar, having a bet with your friend and saying, I bet you 100 on this. And the winner takes the money based on the outcome. So that's the situation with Obafemi. It's very, very tight. Cody Rhodes is at 4-6 minus 150. So you have to bet 60 to win 40 in Cody's situation. But he's a very, very slight favourite. And I expect it to be wider. And I do expect Cody to win. There is a world where Obafemi could win, which would probably involve Drew McIntyre getting involved. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be a very competitive match that ends with a handshake. And we show that Obafemi is almost ready to go up to the main roster because he pushed Cody Rhodes really far. If Cody Rhodes loses this, what that means is the main champion in WWE, which is Cody, because he is holding the championship that Roman Reigns held and established through that long ass 3.5 year run, nearly 4 year run that Roman had. And obviously that's not going to be for nothing. If you're going to be almost 4 years as champion, that's to establish that belt as the number one belt in the company. And then you passed it on to Cody Rhodes, who'd had it for a year. Then John Cena won it, and then Cody Rhodes won it back. So it is the premier belt in the company. However, Cody Rhodes lost the title versus title match to Seth Rollins recently. Now he's facing Obafemi in a champion versus champion, not title for title, sorry. I said title v title, but champion versus champion. And it's champion versus champion tonight. Cody's belt's not on the line. Obafemi's belt's not on the line. I'm sure you guys know that because you listen to a wrestling podcast. And I don't think Cody is going to take back-to-back defeats in these champion versus champion matches. Don't forget, if we look back to 14 months ago, the Crown Jewel Championships were launched. Everybody knew that Cody Rhodes' belt was more important, but it was so wide that Gunther's belt almost felt like the Intercontinental Championship. This was a belt that was held by Seth Rollins, never really made an impact. Drew McIntyre won it for a few seconds before Damian Priest had it. Damian Priest's run was absolutely irrelevant. In fact, the main thing that you remember from Damian Priest's run was that Drew McIntyre couldn't win the belt off him because CM Punk kept getting involved. So they used Priest's championship to elevate Punk versus Drew, which was the main program in 2024. So that was an underwhelming run. He then lost it to Gunther. And what you needed to do in Crown Jewel 2024 was to give Gunther the win. Gunther could have got the win via interference from Kevin Owens, and you could have said to people, this belt is equally as important as that belt, and we've given you evidence here because the holder of the World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther, has beaten Cody Rhodes in this match, be it via interference. He still got the win. So it increases the value and importance of the secondary championship. But they didn't do that because they still couldn't put an L on their beloved Cody. Obviously, we fast forward a year and they did put that L on him when it came to facing Seth Rollins. But that was largely down to the fact that Seth Rollins had never beaten Cody Rhodes. He was 3-0. And if he'd gone 4-0 and based on the way that championship had already been booked previously, and the fact that that championship was won by Seth Rollins via cash-in on night one, and we know night one on any two-night pay-per-view is not as important as night two, it would have been really, really bad for the championship, really, really bad for Rollins. I think had they known Rollins was going to be out, as he is now, they may have called an audible before they put that loss on their boy, because we know Triple H loves Cody. We know that Triple H loves Gunther, and he's very hesitant to put any losses on them. But that night, it felt completely necessary and quite obvious that Rollins was going to win. So I don't think that's going to be the case for Obafemi. I think Triple H's two favourites go over tonight. We start with a Cody win. We finish with a Gunther win via tap out. And in between that, we see the tag team titles retained, and we see Sol Ruka as the only NXT member in a somewhat passing the torch moment. But at the end of the day, it's Bayley. When was the last significant win that Bayley really had? Bayley's not really relevant right now. I know she did that thing where she was shooting those crazy promos, but that doesn't seem like it's gone anywhere. And this seems to be like a regular occurrence with Triple H. It looks like we're going to get something, then it goes nowhere. You look at all the stuff they did with the Wyatts. They're now a very watered down act on TV. Alistair Black did a lot of cryptic promos, particularly when he turned heel. And then he answered he was doing the cryptic stuff after he turned heel with his wife. And then they turn up on TV to answer the US Open Challenge and they lose. So I don't think this guy really is a very creative person. He doesn't really get me interested in anything that he's behind. There seems to be little traces there of decent creativity, and you get a little bit excited for this and that, but then the execution of everything is quite poor when it actually surfaces to television. And it's kind of a trait of 2025. A lot of stuff that you could have potentially been excited about, good heel turns, good production, good promos, but then actually when it comes to TV and Triple H's creative needs to take over, it's all been very, very poor. Rusev, poor. Alistair Black, poor. Wyatt family, Wyatt 6, poor. John Cena's heel run, poor. Just everything very, very subpar. And overall, yes, I don't think the Cena final run has been handled brilliantly. I absolutely do not agree with it being on Saturday night's main event, and it makes even less sense when you listen to some of the podcasts that Cena did that said he wanted to do 200 plus dates, and they turn around to him and say, no, we only need you for 36. Well, if you only need him for 36, but he's offered to do 220, why don't you turn around and say, hey, listen, how about this, John? How about you do 36 dates in 2025, but maybe instead of doing the 200 that you offered to do, we save another 14 dates and take you up to WrestleMania. So if you're willing to do 200, how about we just do a quarter of that, but we split some of those days and we use them in 2026 so we can retire you and do it the right way at WrestleMania and put you in the Hall of Fame at the same weekend. So we'll do 36 days in 2025. We'll do 14 dates in 2026. And we'll retire you properly like the legend that you are, because we call you the GOAT, but GOATs don't retire on Saturday night's main event on Peacock, tapping out to Gunther. So that's everything I have to say in terms of previewing Saturday night's main event. I'll give my thoughts on what I thought of it over on YouTube in the next 48 hours. So be sure to check it out. If you want to get all of the latest wrestling news, head over to thedirtysheets.com.